with Thunderwolves.com, here with head men's and women's track coach Matt Morris. Matt, you're in your second year here at CSU-Pueblo and sending 6 athletes to the outdoor NCAA track and field championships set to go this weekend. When you came here, obviously everybody wants to win, everybody wants to see the student athletes succeed, but where are you at with your goals, being a second year coach and the first year as a men's program here?
Yeah, it's always tough to initially evaluate that when you're coming in because you don't really know, who you're gonna be able to recruit. It was a new environment for me as far as the conference itself is very strong and those kind of things. So you don't really know where you're gonna fit in. But I would definitely say we're ahead of schedule, for lack of a better term. We got a great class this year, as represented. 5 of our 6 athletes are freshmen. And we just missed getting in our guys 4x4. They took 14 and we were 15th, so we had a couple guys that did get to go as well. So we definitely feel excited about where it's going and moving forward to the future. And we had a good class of recruits this year as well. So it's tough to say we'd like to be here next year. This is 3 years or 5 years, but we like where it's going. So we're just going to kind of keep the ball moving.
Start on the women's side. You send 2 freshmen. Alyssa Evans in the 400-meter dash and Rachel Lopez in the 1,500-meter run. Let's start with Rachel, and she's a freshman, but this isn't her first go-around in NCAA's. She made it to indoor. Where's her mindset heading into sort of her second experience, and what does the 1,500 sort of look like and shape up?
Yeah, a great question. It was interesting. She'd come out of high school as a 800-meter, 400-meter type athlete who didn't run cross country and swam in the winter and didn't have a lot of base underneath her. And so I think she was really liked the 800 a lot. And she qualified for indoors, ran 2:12, and we went and she was in the very first heat of the prelims at nationals with the girls that went 1-2. And so I think, it was out really quick, it was through in like 61, and she was redlining the whole way. And it was kind of interesting how she handled it. She got done and I knew she'd be disappointed. She got 4th in her heat and didn't quite make the final. But she instantly was like, I need to move up. Those guys are really fast, and it didn't feel comfortable to her. So she kind of changed gears in the middle, which usually doesn't happen until like the second year. And she really made a commitment to the 1,500 meters, and so we worked there. And so I think she feels very confident going in this time, where before I think, she was kind of deer in the headlight, and so I think she looks a lot better. She looks more relaxed. Obviously that field will be very strong as well. And she goes in ranked, 14th or so, and so pretty similar to where she was in the 8. But they'll take 12 of the final, so I feel like we have a better game plan. She has more experience. We've been to Grand Valley already indoors. She ran great there at the big meet, so we're very excited for the opportunity and think she's gonna do great.
Then Alyssa Evans, a freshman, but she's going with 5 other athletes that did compete in the indoors. What are your expectations for her, and what are those other guys going to do to sort of help her sort of absorb it more than just going in and just looking around and being intimidated?
Yeah, again, we took this whole group. Every one of these kids went to Grand Valley in February to run their big indoor meet, and we qualified some kids from there. And Alyssa did a great job. She ran really, really well both days, and so we'll be staying at the same hotel. It's more of a similar routine for her, so I think that she'll transition pretty quickly, even though it's her first time. And we did a great job indoors of having lots of energy between everybody, so I think that that's a strength for us as a group, even though we're very young. So I think that hers is going to be, I think that she can make the final as well. She's going to have to run probably half second faster than she's run. She's capable. We'll have to be a little bit more aggressive with her maybe than some of the other athletes, but I think she's ready for that. But I don't feel like psychologically she's going to be overwhelmed. I think it'll be more of, will she have the engine to get into the final as a freshman? That's pretty rare. But I feel like she's definitely ready, and I think our experience in the winter will help a lot.
On the men's side, you're competing at an outdoor championships the first time in 22 years. You send 4 athletes. All 4 have been there. They competed together at the DMR. They had obviously a national runner-up, had some success. They got to soak it in a little bit. What is their mindset heading in? I guess starting with Derek, sort of having the most success and at the 1,500. What do you see from Derek, and then just sort of work your way through those guys?
Yeah, we had to make a tough decision for Derek whether we were going to run the 15 or the steeple or both. potentially, and we decided on the 1500 meters, and it's a deep field. I feel like he has a good chance as anybody probably to be in the top 2 or 3. You know, he's going to run well on that day, but you know, it's a little bit on the bottom end of his range, but that's where we wanted. He's only a freshman outdoors, so we wanted to kind of stay there as much as we could. But obviously Derek races very well. You know, and all of those guys did great at indoor nationals and really competed well, ran big PRs across the board. So every time we've given them opportunities to have to step up, they've really done that, and it carried over into the conference meet, you know, outdoors, and so we feel great about where we're at. And our goal is again just to get everyone moved on to Saturday and get in the final and see what we can do. We're just trying to score points, you know, as a group across the board. We talked about that this morning on the women's side and on the men's side, score as many points as we can. And keep the ball moving forward, and hopefully come back next year and score more points, and eventually, you know, hopefully we're near the top. You know, it's going to be tough, but you know, I think that everybody's in a good spot. It's just a matter of executing. So going back to Derek, I think he has a great chance, you know, to do well.
Then you move on to the 800. You have 2 guys in that race. Dante Carter's a junior, has had success, you know, at the NAI level previously, and then Devondrick Walker competing in his first individual race. Both those guys are gamers. So what do you expect from those guys?
Yeah, you know, Dante, one thing about our guys is they do race well. You know, we tend to, once we get in the race, it doesn't overwhelm them, and they tend to get near the front. You know, Dante was kind of in a similar situation that we could run the 8 or the 15 or both. We really didn't know until the last chance meet, and then he goes and runs, you know, 1:48.5, you know, like adjusted, and you're like, wow. So it really, honestly, changed our mind quite a bit. So we're going to run him in the 800 meters, and I think, you know, it sets up great for him. You know, that's a tough field. I'll tell you what, the 800 meters this year in D2 is very, very deep. But we feel like the skill set we have will give us a chance, especially in rounds and racing, to give us a chance to finish up there. You know, so I expect him to do well. He always tends to be near the front, you know, and Devondrick the same way, you know, so those guys are really running well at the end of the year. And you know, we're just trying to score as many points as we can in that event, you know.
Then you finish up Duluth Vassal at the 400 meter. I've seen him live a few times, and that dude's just fast.
Yeah.
And he's fun to watch run the track. But again, freshman, like, what are your expectations?
Yeah, you know, Duluth's one of those guys where he really, you know, he's worked really hard all year long, and a lot of times you don't get that out of kids till they're a little bit older, but he's really coming focused and has some goals he wants to achieve, and you know, one of them was making an individual event in nationals outdoors, and you know, we ended up qualifying in our conference meet, which is a little bit rare because you have to run rounds and that kind of thing. But he's running really well at the end. I think we have him finally dialed in as far as race strategy, you know, not out too fast, not out too slow, being able to execute the whole way. And he's just a confident kid that races great. And so, again, he's going to have to run well to make the final. He's going to have to run probably 4/10 faster. You know, so it's going to be a little bit of a stretch. But, you know, regardless, I think, you know, whether we can make it the final or not, he's going to get a good experience, and he's obviously going to be a kid to be reckoned with for a while. But I wouldn't put it past him to sneak in there and get some points. So, you know, that's really our goals. We're really just focused on that first day, taking that like it's our last race, getting in, and then we'll go from there, you know.
Matt, thank you so much, and good luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it.